Boys, we are so back and ready, better than ever. Sorry for the longer break. I had to go out of town for a little while, so no videos for a couple days. But it might have actually been kind of a good thing, because the air dribble tutorial seems to be going crazy. But something I did notice from that video is that a lot of y'all were asking about my Rocket League settings. And so I figured, you know, before I upgrade my new mic and before I have to head out again, I'll record something pretty short for y'all and get a settings video, and much less a settings video, but a tutorial on how to find your settings. Because everybody's gonna have something different, and I change mine probably once like every few days. But I have three main ones that I kind of prefer. So yeah, that's what this video is gonna be about. Probably short, hopefully sweet. Hope y'all enjoy. As always, like, subscribe, and any questions, throw them in the comments. Also, something new. If you are kind of looking for players to hop in, like, play with, or if you're looking to even try and play some games with me, in my, description, I guess? I don't remember what it's called, but I have a link to my Discord, which is a kind of scrim server for me and a bunch of my teammates. Y'all should hop in, run some scrims with me sometime. It could be a lot of fun, and we can work on some stuff. But yeah, that's all I want to say. We're gonna get right into the settings. So you want to change your settings in Rocket League. Well, can I help you? Absolutely. So to start off with, I'm gonna make this one kind of quick, but I'm gonna show you what my settings are. So camera wise, I'm running 289/4, 35. This is a bit custom. I'm sure a pro uses this, but I actually modified this. I was using darks, which was this. These are kind of old dark settings, I believe. I really liked them because you could see everything about the car, and it wasn't like super far away so that you couldn't tell what you were doing, and so it allowed just kind of like free roam of my mechanics. Reason I switched is that taking 50s and kickoffs just seemed to be kind of weird. I was struggling to hit the center of the ball. Check out the kickoff tutorial. So I swapped down to 280, and I thought that was, kind of a good middle ground. But sometimes even these settings feel wonk, because sometimes in the air I feel like I can't really see anything. When that's the case, I actually will drop the distance and go up 1 in height. And these are Zen's, I believe, current settings. And I mean, yeah, this is just probably the best camera settings if you're an aerial player playing in the air, because I mean, you can see everything just like this. You can see your car, you can see for the flip, you can see for ceiling shots, and you can see your teammates going middle for the pass. So these are kind of like my aerial settings, and then these right here are really close to what I was using, 270. These are like the default settings for pros. I think Squishy used these way back in the day, and everyone just copied them, because Squishy the GOAT. GG's to the GOAT of Rocket League. But yeah, those are kind of like my three main settings that I use, but that is not what I just want to talk about. Those are my settings. However, Rocket League is it's a game where you can have your own unique style and it still be just fine. And a way you can kind of show that is in your settings. So there are a couple rules to follow in your settings to find your perfect match, but generally you have complete reign in it. But I'm going to teach you those rules right now. So number one is your camera settings, right? Your camera settings, you want to set between 250 and 300. Any more, any less, and you're going to start like having trouble seeing the ball. Also, field of view, I always recommend 110. But if you want to do 109, I think some pros use 109. I just personally recommend 110. But 19, 110, those are what do you want to stick at? Distance 300 to 250. Reason is, obviously, like I said, you're just going to start loose inside on the ball. Height, you want to stick anywhere between 80 and 110. Anything higher or lower, and once again, it becomes hard to see the ball. Angle is a bit weird, because you could honestly probably get by doing this. It's really weird, and I don't recommend it. You could get by with this. I know when I freestyled, I used this. And you could also probably get by with this. Again, I don't recommend it, but you could do it. However, angle, the way I've always saw it is you want to be able to see like over your car and still see on top of your car. It's a bit hard to describe, but like you don't want to be looking down like this because you can't see up the field. But you don't want to be looking down like this because then you can't see on top of your car. So say I'm starting a dribble, right? I can still, with this angle, see down the field and see my opponent getting ready to challenge so long as he's not right next to the ball. And I can actually still see on top of my car. Whereas with like a thinner angle, if I was to do like 2, I can see it on the field really good, but it's harder to see on my ball or on the car. And if I go higher, because the opposite, if I go like a 10, I can dribble. I can still kind of see down the field, but it's way more difficult to like focus on anything with the ball. So I recommend something in the middle. I would say 6 to like 3 would be good, but like I said, obviously with angle, you can kind of do whatever you want. But stiffness. Stiffness is the least important camera setting, I'm not going to lie to you. I think Lethemir literally has a 1. If you want to talk about a pro player, Lethemir has a 1. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, Lethemir has a 1. And then some players use a 0. All stiffness does is when your car is moving, it determines how far away the camera moves. So you see right now, camera's pretty close to me. We get moving. The camera gets back. This is at a slow speed. We speed up. Now the camera's pretty far back, right? That's what a low stiffness is going to do. I prefer a lower stiffness because when you're going for aerial mechanics, you're not going to be moving at supersonic a lot of the time. So you're going to have that close up on your car that lets you see what you're doing. But when you're going for a dribble, you should be reaching supersonic a lot. You're going to be farther away, you're going to have a better view of the field. So that's just something, you know, personally that I think doesn't particularly matter when you build your camera settings, though. You could have a 1 stiffness or a 0. It literally is just, you know, preference. But if I had to recommend something, I would recommend 0.3 to 0.5. And that pretty much does it. Swivel speed and transition speed are all feel. Literally every pro probably uses something different there. I wouldn't worry about that at all. That's pretty much all there is for the camera settings. But now we're going to talk about controller settings, which is something that I personally put way too much effort into. So here's my current. I spent a good amount of time customizing it, only to find out that I built Zen settings. So that's kind of the position I'm in, is using Zens. I have a 0.8 dead zone. I have a 1.5 steering sense and a 1.5 aerial sense. And this is pretty standard as far as it goes. I use cross dead zone and a PS5 controller. Cross dead zone I find just to be the one that I'm most meshed with. Dead zone wise, I recommend cross. It's what a majority of pros use. The only one I really don't recommend you use is square. Square is really hard to control. Unless you're a freestyler. Square for freestylers is broken. But for competitive players, I don't really recommend it. It's just kind of, it's kind of hard to get the control touches you really need. It's more of like you're set up and you're ready to do something type of dead zone. But in terms of sensitivities, I'm actually at a crossroads with sensitivities right now. I believe your dead zone should be lower. I used to use 0.5, but because I'm broken, I couldn't do this without it higher. Like I would always turn. I would do something like that. Not that. But I would always turn on my cancels. So I had to go higher. But I recommend lower. I think Chronic for Gen G uses 0.05. And I feel like, honestly, that's perfect. If you go too low, you're going to start losing control of your car. But that like 0.05 is literally as sensitive as you can get. Now, what do I recommend in terms of controller and aerial sense? The first thing I'm going to say is make sure they're the same. That's like a thing of when you're going from ground to air, you don't want your car to start turning faster as soon as you jump. It's just gonna be harder to control things. But yeah, just make sure they're the same. But in terms of what settings you should use, I honestly recommend whatever you want. Me personally, 1.5 has been like the best. There was a time where I used 2. There's a time where I used freaking, I think I used 3.5. And I didn't really have any problems with any of them. Just 1.5 is what meshed best with me. So if you like 10, if you like 6, I mean, whatever you like, stick to that. Only thing I will say is, while you're training your mechanics, while you're trying to get better at the game, pick one setting and stick to it. Don't jump around, because it makes it way harder to learn things if you keep changing other variables. It's kind of like a science class, right? You have your assignment, you're doing your assignment, and the teacher's like, all right, you need a control to mesh your experiment with, right? Well, the control needs to be your settings. Your experiments need to be what you're doing in the game. Your control needs to be your settings. So just make sure you're picking some that you feel like you can vibe with, and stick to them. I mean, obviously you can change them if need be, but like, don't go around changing settings day by day because you stopped hitting flip resets. Well, I definitely think, well, I probably do that. My teammates can definitely reprimand me about that. I'm also really bad at the game, so don't follow my example. But no, that's kind of all I want to say about settings, because there's not a ton to say. Dodge dead zone 0.7. Dodge dead zone is all feel. I use a higher dodge dead zone because I don't like backflipping when I'm trying to double jump. Some people use it really low, but it's up to you. Did I just hit a psycho? Alright, I'm better. But, yep, no, actually, I'm wrong. 0.7 is the best. Had to prove it with my skill. But, yeah, with that said, you know, those are settings. If you want to see my video settings, here they are. Mine are a bit different than a lot of pros. Usually you just want to use like performance and everything, but it's whatever. Video settings are as far into personal preference as you can get. But yeah, that's all I really wanted to say about settings. I was getting, you know, a couple recommendations on making a settings video, and yeah, I do want to, at the end of this video, kind of respond to some of the comments from my last one. There was a couple of you that were asking me to make a flip reset tutorial. That will probably be next, so I can do that. And then also, a couple of you were asking for like tips on improving your rank or ranking up. See, that is tough because right now it's difficult. I'm GC2, hard stuck GC2, and kind of stuck, like I said. Ranking up is pretty difficult, especially in today's like game. It's a lot harder, but I can make a whole video on this. But kind of my one sentence to help you rank up would be just keep trying. You play more games, you're eventually going to start winning them. And if you're struggling, like if you think like, oh, I'm not ready for this rank or something like that, you got there for a reason. I mean, even if, like, let's say you just happen to win 20 games in a row and you were a GC1, you went straight into like nearly GC3, right? You deserve it. That's all you, brother. Just keep playing, keep enjoying the game. And if you do that, you're eventually just going to keep getting better at the game. That's kind of like the biggest tip I can give you, is just enjoy the game. Don't play the game only to just, like, only to improve, only to get better, only play for rank. Because at the end of the day, I mean, if you're not playing for fun, you're not going to get any better. We all know that. This love-hate relationship, we have this little car soccer game, you know? But yeah, I mean, that's kind of the spiel I wanted to go on. Learn to love the game. Pick your settings. Have fun. And just, you know, live your life. Alright, that's it. I promise this time that's it. I'll see you. Bye. Love you. Bye. Bye. See you. Bye. Bye. Bye.